Over the last 2 years, as I pursued optimization both at the gym and at the desk, I have learned about and applied countless tools and protocols that enable better health, longevity, and performance. Despite my affection for structure, apart from sporadic instances, I have never conducted a thorough documentation of the development of those habits. This is therefore only a documentation of my current self-research recorded purely for the sake of my own journaling and not an explanatory video. The wake-up time remains between 6 and 7 am and bedtime between 8 and 9. I haven't had trouble falling asleep before and so currently do not either, but as far as the later stages of sleep go, it seems to have improved after the propionazine prescription. I get way better sleep now, which makes mornings very solid. The frequency of waking up with anxiety in the middle of the night has decreased significantly, but unfortunately I still sometimes experience it. I also rarely linger in bed using my phone anymore, which I find leaves me more concentrated on the rest of my routine. There is also no more friction with beginning the bedtime routine ever since I made the decision to stop the traditional movies or video games with friends at 7 p.m. Solving practice problems first instead of the AFK deck turned out to be a very good decision. In most cases, I felt very content with being done with the more challenging part of the morning routine immediately. I was also able to focus more on the actual learning rather than treating the NK deck as an annoying necessity. In addition to that, the serenity of the Mirror's Edge soundtrack and the smell of incense made this a surprisingly enjoyable practice. For the first couple of days, as I was digging into the pile of dozens of problems, it was a more pronounced feeling, but lately there have been about 5 problems on average to solve, of which 1 or 2 would take longer than 10 minutes. As I am studying programming now, I am considering morning coding practice to give this habit more substance. With time-restricted feeding, I don't feel like I have any major issues and I generally don't feel hungry outside of the window. I do enjoy the clarity of mind in the earlier parts of the day, and it's satisfying to lean on the tons of peer-reviewed studies that show all of the benefits. Lately, I started supplementing with maltodextrin and protein before workout, and with that, the window on training days opens around 11 and closes around 7. Furthermore, I am eating on a surplus in order to fuel my workouts, and it's not difficult to hit all of the macronutrients as I get plenty of them before my day really even starts. The current program is chest, bicep, back, tricep, shoulder, legs, sometimes back to back and sometimes with a rest day in between. After this cycle, I usually rest for 1 or 2 days as well. The program is far from optimal, but it's best to stick to something that works and is enjoyable. That being said, I'm happily progressing through all of my lifts, and the workouts feel very powerful as I am never starved of calories to burn and sleep better than before. I'm constantly getting bigger and reaching new personal bests. As I'm approaching heavier weights, my wrists start reminding me that they exist though. But with the collagen, grip trainer, and glucosamine that I am soon to implement, I feel fairly positive about not hitting a plateau due to my wrists again. Apart from omega-3, creatine, and vitamin D that I would take before, I have added ashwagandha, ginkgo biloba, rhodiola rosea, bacopa monnieri, and choline. I have used this stack for the entirety of 2020 and it feels great to implement it again, especially when, just like in the case of time-restricted feeding, the literature shows very evident benefits. For the last 2 weeks, I have been enjoying a 30 to 60 second ice-cold shower first thing in the morning, without exception, and no matter how I felt about it prior to taking it, I always felt great both physically and mentally afterwards. On top of that, I also enjoy the feeling of breaking the habit of complacency. Meditating in the evening never felt right. As a part of my bedtime routine, it felt out of place and counterintuitive since at night I would much rather wind down rather than exert effort to control my attention. For the last week, I have meditated with a guided protocol for about 15 minutes right after doing the morning practice problems, and it seems as though I have finally found the right time to meditate. In conjunction with the cold shower, I do not need to meditate while sitting, as laying on my bed and closing my eyes in the morning does not make me sleepy anymore. I am happy to again be taking steps towards full effectiveness, and being mindful of my energy levels and getting to a certain minimum was an enjoyable process. I have attempted raising the bar too soon, however, and crashed for a few days. I will have to take a step back to studying just a few hours and remain at that level for a few more weeks. With the implementation of the new protocols, I feel as though I am improving my overall routine, and although a part of me wants to believe that a ton of perfect protocols and being hard on myself is what is necessary here, I am content to say that the last 3 weeks were a very good step forward. Now that I am back to living with a routine, I feel like I can progressively do more without risking burnout. I am super proud that I was able to build up to being very satisfied with my exercise, sleep, nutrition, and the morning routine, and I'm also glad to finally have found the right time to meditate. Now that my routine solidifies, I am now aiming at implementing a short piano session somewhere during the day. With all that being said, I'm happy to say that I feel great being able to return to the productive mode. The entire January felt like a nice climb out of the stress. The knowledge I've acquired during therapy makes me much more content with the progress, being aware of and shutting down the perfectionism reflex, and accepting those times when I don't feel on absolute top. What I'm most satisfied with is that I was in fact able to start studying again, and that I now know to look at energy crashes as signs to continue in the current mode and hold off from raising the bar rather than beat myself up over the inability to exert more effort.